We presided over a narco state, but it was our narco state. And now it's not our narco state. The last time I flew out of Kabul was 2011. And when you're taken off from Kabul airport, just as the plane takes off, you see these magnificent mansions. Now, most Afghans live in, mud huts with corrugated tin roofs. But these are magnificent, giant mansions. And they're all painted in pastel colors. That's why they really stick out. Pink and orange and green and pale blue. Like out of a cartoon. Those are the narco traffickers' houses. They all live in the same neighborhood. And there's nothing to stop them.
The CIA's destabilization or assisting in certain personnel becoming leaders of other countries has kind of caused the push and pull, which also assists in the drug trade. Was that like do you think the CIA thought of that? What would happen if they continue to destabilize certain countries? They're trying to get certain leaders?
No, generally no. That's a great question. And I did an episode of my own TV show on Guatemala. So we were the whole episode. It sounds kind of silly, but it's funny. It was about Chiquita Banana, right? So in 1898, a businessman from Boston, a wealthy businessman from Boston, decided to build a railroad in Guatemala from the capital city to the coast. And while they were building the railroad, and he would go down there to sort of oversee the building of the railroad, he sees that the workers are eating these fruits off the tree. He's like, "What is that?" And they said, "It's called a banana." Well, he had never seen a banana before. No American had ever seen a banana before. And they're delicious. And they're just growing along the side of the tracks. And so he decided, one of the things we should do with this railroad is we should pick these fruits, these bananas, and we should send them to the coast and bring them to the United States. Americans would like this fruit. It's very tasty. And so the company, which 60 years later became Chiquita Banana, started importing bananas to the United States. Well, the workers were like, "Well, hey, wait a minute, we're making, 10 cents a day. And the Americans are taking all these bananas for free. We should organize a union and we should get more money from the bananas for ourselves and our family." And the CIA said, actually, no, because it turned out that CIA director, Alan Dulles, was on the board of directors of Chiquita Banana. His brother, the Secretary of State, John Foster Dulles, was on the board of Chiquita Banana. And President Eisenhower's secretary's brother was on the board of Chiquita Banana. So what did they do? They overthrew the government of Guatemala. They installed a military dictatorship, which gave rise to the term Banana Republic. And Chiquita got to keep all the bananas. So the CIA doesn't think about, well, if we overthrow this government, what's going to happen? We're going to put in a military dictatorship. We get to keep the bananas, but the dictatorship's going to be corrupt, and they're probably going to allow drugs to come through the country. They never give that any thought. All they think is, hey, we get to keep the bananas, and we install a friendly dictatorship. We don't have to worry about unions. We don't have to worry about these pesky, democracies, and everything stays the same, just the way we like it.
I don't know. How do you get that approved? Obviously, they probably got it approved by not mentioning the business side of things.
Right. And don't forget, there were no congressional oversight committees at the time.
Man, that's insane.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, there's a lot of little stories. So when we talk about the subject, there's always someone that comes into the comments and says, "Yeah, well, the CIA did this," and you're like, "Oh my God," And the idea of the CIA is so awesome. There's so many cool things that the counterterrorism side of things, the national security. There's things out there that are so in my opinion, badass about the CIA. And then there's the past of the CIA that kind of has a black eye at times because of some of the decisions. It's almost as if I'll fix this problem here and forget about what potentially happens later. We'll just get to that when it happens. And
the CIA is bad about blowback.
Yeah. And it seems like a lot of blowback is happening now in this drug trade. In my opinion, it kind of seems like this is all part of the blowback that we're still dealing with.
Agreed.
Is there any kind of parallels between the failures of U.S. counterterrorism efforts and the failures on the drug war?
Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah, actually. You know what? Now that I think about it, Afghanistan's a prime example. We essentially lost in Afghanistan. We failed to win the hearts and minds of the Afghan people, as the saying goes. We presided over, one of world history's great narco states. And then we ended up essentially getting thrown out. The Taliban have somewhat cracked down on poppy cultivation. It's not 93% anymore of the world's heroin being produced in Afghanistan, but how should I say this without sounding crass? We presided over a narco state, but it was our narco state. And now it's not our narco state. The last time I flew out of Kabul was 2011. And when you're taken off from Kabul airport, just as the plane takes off, you see these magnificent mansions. Now, most Afghans live in, mud huts with corrugated tin roofs. But these are magnificent, giant mansions. And they're all painted in pastel colors. That's why they really stick out. Pink and orange and green and pale blue. Like out of a cartoon. Those are the narco traffickers' houses. They all live in the same neighborhood. And there's nothing to stop them.
Yeah. It's no different than some of the border towns. Some of these really small, the same ones I mentioned. You can be driving and seeing, everyone living a very, very, I guess, similar lifestyle. And then there's just one street or two streets of these mansions that are $2.7 million homes. Yeah. You're like, that's odd,
Yeah, that's
so
ridiculous.
There's something weird to that. What's going on, y'all? I'm not sure if you know this, but Borderland Narcosis is sponsored by First Form. First Form is a wellness supplement company. And, I've been with them for about 7 years. And I've been with them for that long because I truly believe in not just the product, but the people who own the company. They are a culture that just believes in your health. And so if you guys haven't tried it before, I would recommend you go and check out the Formula One Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Add a little bit of a ignition to that, and you'll have exactly what you need for your post-workout drink. This is something I've used for a very long time. When I'm in the best shape of my life, it's always been because I have a nice regimen of the First Form products. So if you guys are interested, go check them out at firstform.com/Borderland. Okay, use our link. It is the #1 stphorm.com/Borderland. And if you order over $75, you get free shipping. And if you're new to the site, you get a free app for 30 days. So go check it out. Again, thank you so much for all the support. See you soon.